crash when your mother cries. Listen to the fall to the floor.
Hello, and welcome back to another pen talk. My viewers might recognize this pen. It's sitting here. This is the Delike Pocket Brass Pen. I bought a second one, primarily because I was enamored by some of the blog posts that I saw that talked about removing this lacquer and putting it down to bare metal brass. So I'm going to be going through an exercise. Hopefully I can show you the stages that I go through. But I really enjoy the one that I have now. I use it quite a bit. So we're going to use a chemical remover, a lacquer remover that I picked up on Amazon. I'm a firm believer in chemistry makes for better living, so the blog people used a manual method, abrasives, sandpaper, buffing wheels, or whatever to remove the lacquer. So we're going to try a lacquer removal chemical, which hopefully, if it works the way that they've have used in the past, you just put it on there and it will dissolve the lacquer and you wipe it off. So that would make a quite easy conversion, and we'll see what it looks like. There wasn't a lot on Amazon, and I didn't want to get in the car and drive to a hardware store, so I picked this up, and I like the fact that it's safe to use, but we'll see how effective it is. Varnish stripper says coat the area and then wait for 30 to 24 hours, from 30 minutes to 24 hours, and then see if the coating is ready to come off. So I'm just going to paint these. I made a little metal box. It says use a metal box. So we're going to paint these, let them set for an hour, and see what they look like. It'll be interesting to see how quickly this coating reacts to the varnish on the items. I'm not going to coat the threads because I think that's kind of neat. I think the threads can stay the way they are. So I'm going to coat both of these, let them set for at least a half an hour, and see what we have. Remover for the past 8 hours. The lacquer remover seems to have picked up some color, so I'm going to wipe it off with a paper towel and take a look at what we got. This is for cleaning off a surface that has a lacquer or a varnish on it. Is a very abrasive pad. These are like sanding pads, but they're actually for removing lacquer with or without any type of solvent involved, and gloves to keep the chemicals away from your fingers. Pens. The one on the top is the one I've been trying to remove the lacquer from, and the one in the bottom is one I haven't done anything with. It has removed the white or whatever texture was in the worn piece. It has removed it, but this is engraved in, so the only way to get that off is to sand it, but it doesn't bother me so much. The barrel feels pretty much the same on both of these pens, so I'm going to put back on the lacquer remover, and I'm going to leave it set probably for another 12 hours. Soaking the parts of the Delike Brass Pen in the varnish remover. I just made a little box out of aluminum foil, and I just brush it periodically to kind of get more of the paste in touch with the lacquer. So here's the cap that I have pretty much removed all traces of the lacquer. It is more of a yellowish color without the lacquer. I didn't polish out the worn piece. I think it's kind of interesting to just have a subtle engraving there. And you can compare it to the varnished pen. As you can see, a much different look. I haven't done a final polish on this. I did a series of grits to get it to the state that it's in now, and then I probably will use a polishing paste. So I'm using this, I call it like emery paper. This is a fine paper. This is my first pass And it just takes a lot of elbow grease, physical. And then this is the second pass that I use, which is a 2000 grit. I've used this a lot. And I'll also use this for aggressive smoothing of nibs, depending upon what I need to do. So we're going to continue to work on this. What I do is, this is going to be ready to clean off the varnish remover. I'm using mineral spirits, which is what they recommend. I wear gloves during the process. I don't let any of these materials touch my skin. I just think it's a good idea. So we'll continue on with this, and hopefully within a few more days we'll be down to that plain brass. A final polish was with semi-chrome polish. A little bit of a polishing rag. As you can see, a lot of material was removed, at least from a chemical perspective. I think semi-chrome also does a good job at removing any types of tarnishing. So I'm impressed. This has come out very, very nicely. There's always going to be a little scratches on it. This is not a very hard brass, so it has some softness to it. But there now is a significant difference between the original lacquered pen and the one that's all brass. So the next view we'll have is of the final pen cleaned up to raw brass. Moved all the lacquer from the pen. And what I found in doing the section was that the nib is part of an assembly, which is interesting. This is, again, something new in the pens out of China. So that's really nice that it's, you know, one piece like that and just screws in and out. The other thing that I learned about was using a fine steel wool to do the initial removing of the lacquer, and also to give it some shine. It works very well. There's still going to be some scratches in here. I think that's one thing that the lacquer covers, but I'm just happy with the way this came out. So we're going to ink it up and write with it, in case you haven't seen the writing from the initial one. But it is a much richer color. It's much more reflective, and it is nice. I mean, it does make it a different looking pen, and you now know that it's really made out of metal, where this with the lacquer coating on it may or may not have that kind of metal look to it, but this definitely does. It's ready for writing. I have a violet ink in here from Sailor. Neo Samire, Sweet Violet. And I decided I needed a black ink in here. So I have a new black ink that I'm looking at trying, is American Eel. To me, if I'm going to use a black ink, I want it to be bulletproof. And I think Noodler's is probably as well known, or probably the most consistent maker of those types of inks, eternal inks, whatever you want to call them. So let's see how this nib works. As with most pocket pens, you know, it fits in the hand unposted, but it certainly has a different feel to it. And this plain brass is certainly has a different feel than the lacquered brass. I think it's a little bit on the slippery side. So the pen posts pretty deeply, and I think it fits extremely well in the hand posted. It is on the weighty side, and with a thin section, it's something that might be challenging to some people with long writing sessions, but you know, I think it'd be nice the way the pen looks and works as a pocket pen. To me, I'm very happy for the $12 I spent for it. This works exactly like the nib in the other pen works. They're very consistent. I did do just a little bit of smoothing on this, and now it writes great. And I left the other pen set for over a week and uncapped it, and it wrote first time, so it Certainly keeps the ink wet on the nib and lets you start up right away. So overall, I'm just extremely pleased. Those of you who have been watching my channel have known I've found a number of Chinese pens now which are very enjoyable writing instruments. They have some unique characteristics to them. But one thing they all share in common is they're inexpensive. It's always good to show the wetness of the nib and also to see how this ink looks in a smear. It dries pretty quick and it's a pretty solid black, which is what I would expect from this type of ink. I mean, this is Fabriano paper, which is not as coated as much as Rodier Clairefontaine, and it absorbs ink a little bit quicker than Tomoe River, but I enjoy the paper. So let's take a look at the original one, which has the sailor ink in it. Again, it's just smooth, effortless writing. And I have to admit, in the hand, the lacquer feels fine. It has, you know, a texture to it that is definitely not slippery, which is something that you would, that I feel with the clean brass, but it certainly does look different. But these are great writers. I mean, that's what impresses me more than anything about these pens is how well they write. And I think I need to give you the name of the ink because the color looks pretty nice in this light on the camera. Probably one that's an ink that's not available now, but you know, all my Sailor inks I've been very happy with, and I've done some reviews on them. To see how the pen would look as a solid, clean, raw brass pen. So hopefully this video showed that to you and gave you some clues on how you might go about removing the lacquer. Overall, I would say that the fine steel wool provided the most effective way, and the lacquer removing liquid kind of softens and degrades the lacquer, which makes less manual effort to get it removed, but it still doesn't remove all the manual effort. So for those of you that like a metal pen and like a pocket pen and don't mind spending under $15, you could certainly do worse than this. So may you all have many great writing experiences. Enjoy the pleasures of putting ink on paper. Till later, bye.